This week we're talking about the faith of Abraham. Now listen how the Bible describes Abraham. In Hebrews chapter 11, verses 8 through 10, in the chapter we call the Hall of Fame of Faith, Abraham is described this way. By an act of faith, Abraham said yes to God's call to travel to an unknown place that would become his home. When he left, he had no idea where he was going. By an act of faith, he lived in a country promised him, lived as a stranger, camping in tents, living under the promise of God. Abraham did this by keeping his eye on an eternal city with real eternal foundation, the city designed and built by God. Now, Abraham is known as the father of the faithful. And what is faith? We're studying that for the last several weeks in our 9:30 service and in our devotionals. Faith is trust. Faith is believing. Sometimes having faith is hard. Sometimes it's hard when life deals disappointments to us, but we're still called on to have faith, to believe in the promises of God and that God's with us. Now, we have an example of faith in the life of Abraham. Abraham was a country boy. He was an old country boy, and he lived in a little village among his family. His dad, his brothers' wives, his nephews are all mentioned. There were probably other wives and children. One day, God called Abraham. And listen to this call. God told Abraham, leave your country, leave your family, leave your father's home for a land that I will show you. I'll make you a great nation and bless you. I'll make you famous. You'll be a blessing. I'll bless those who bless you, and I'll curse those who curse you. All the families of the earth will be blessed through you. So Abraham left just like God said. Abram was 75 years old when he left Haran. He took his wife Sarah and his nephew Lot with him, along with all the possessions and the people they had gotten. And they set out from the land of Canaan, and they arrived safe and sound. Abram passed through the country, and at that time the Canaanites filled the land. God appeared to Abram and said, I'll give this land to your children. Abram built an altar the place God had appeared to him. And he moved on and pitched his tent. He built an altar, he prayed to God, and he kept moving steadily along as God led him. Now, we find here that God called Abraham. Abraham and Sarah are God followers. They're believers, but they're old and they have no children. Abraham is called to go on a trip, and God says, I'll bless you. Go on this trip, I'll bless you. You'll bless the whole world. So what would you do? Me? Now? Go now? We don't have a record of Abraham asking any question. He just goes. He does what God asks. He has faith. He has trust, knowing that God will be with him and God will guide him. Abraham's questions will be answered as he travels with God. Now, God told Abraham what? He said, come here, I've got something for you. You need to move. God told him where. I'll show you, and I'll be with you. God told him when. Get ready and go now. Now, we usually ask how. How are you going to do this? God tells us the what, the when, the where. The how is answered on our walk with God. So what do we need to do? We need to stop. We need to slow down. We need to listen for something new. What's God telling us? Where's God leading us? What's God calling us to do? And then we walk with God in faith. That's how we can be like Abraham. That's what faith is. So may the words of God find a place in our hearts and make us rich in